Hello everybody, how's it going? Andy Rooms here, coming at you with a session of Little Locked Rooms. Cute little puzzle game as far as I can tell. A little curious, so yeah. Stay tuned as we give this a start. Ooh, cute music. Chapter 1, Tracks in the Snow. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Alright. Perfect escape and tracks in the snow. Chapter 1. The Last Dance. Huh. Okay. We're just gonna go into chapter 1 first. Tracks in the Snow. The following is a true story that occurred a few years back. On a cold winter day, an infamous thief managed to steal a jewel of remarkable value. As he made his escape, however, he made a blunder. A witness caught a glimpse of him fleeing in a red truck. The police promptly answered the call and gave chase. After a few hours of driving down the road, they found the truck they were after. However, when they took a peek inside, they realized the driver had already exited the vehicle. Oh no! Cute footprints. A set of footprints went from the vehicle into a small cabin. The police naturally checked inside, but alas, the thief wasn't there either. Yet, there were no traces of anyone having left the cabin. The criminal had vanished into thin air. And that's how the mystery goes. What do you think, kiddos? Think you can crack it? Yeah, Dad. Looks easy. I'll solve it in a minute tops. Time me. It's a mysterious case indeed. But no matter, the great Sherry Holmes is on the scene. Why are you here again? To solve the case, duh. Come on, Bo. You'll be my sidekick. I'll look in the cabin, you look inside the truck. Dad, she's just messing around. It's fine, isn't it? Take a good look at the diorama, you two. There's some important clues lying around. Welcome to Little Locked Rooms. On this screen, you'll be able to inspect a diorama that represents a mystery. Rotate the diorama by clicking and dragging with your left mouse button. Click on interesting objects to zoom in on them. At the bottom left, you'll find cards with other important information. Once you think you've cracked the case, click the bar at the bottom right to check your solution. How did the thief escape? Objective: a criminal entered a cabin and seemingly vanished inside it. Found out how he did it. The diorama shows the state of the cabin when the police arrived. The police found an abandoned truck. A trail of footprints led into the cabin. Oh, these were the hints that we were given. Right? A trail of footprints led into a cabin. The cabin was completely empty. The thief had somehow disappeared. Evidence shows that the criminal went inside the cabin 30 minutes prior the police arrived. There are no secret footprints hidden in the unmarked snow. Would we actually have to type it? So, we got a truck. We got some footprints. We have the cabin, but the cabin is completely locked, is it? No, the cabin was completely empty. So, we have a truck, HSA 101. We have footprints, and we have an empty cabin. So the criminal entered a cabin and seemingly vanished inside it. Find out how he did it. The diorama shows the state of the cabin when the police arrived. Yo, what chill vibes, my dude. Hide points in rank. So we have a road. We have tire tracks. We have footprints. We have a truck. We have a tire. We have a truck. What's the point of the tire? I got it. Yeah, how about you, Sherry? Yep, me too. I actually knew the answer from the start. I was just waiting for Bo. As if, what's the answer then? He just... Hold on. Let's be organized about this, alright? Throwing out theories to see if they stick is for amateurs. We're all real detectives here, and a real detective asks the right questions at the right moments. So let's start nice and easy from the top. We know for certain the thief entered the cabin, but the police didn't find him when they arrived. Weird, huh? How could that happen? Did the thief really vanish? No, it's just a trick. That's what you want us to figure out. Haha, that logic is cheating, but yeah, people don't just vanish. The thief was simply clever in how he escaped, which leads us to our first question. How did he do it? This is the first in a series of questions the game will ask you. If you want to review the clues before answering, you can always click the arrow at the top right to momentarily go back to the investigation mode. You can also ask for hints using the button on the left. I mean, how did he exit the cabin? By walking. He just walked out, right? Makes sense to me. The thing is, though, there's no footprints leading out of the cabin. How do you explain that? Wouldn't he have just walked backwards then? Basically, like, to match the footprints going back in? How did the thief walk out of the cabin without leaving footprints behind? Because of what he used to walk. Because of where he walked. Because of when he walked. Yeah, because of where he walked. Because he walked on the footprints. Where did the thief walk over? On the footprints. I know. He walked backward over his footprints. Exactly. Nice. He masked his exit with his own footprints. Now, following that logic, where would the thief arrive by backtracking through his steps? The truck, right? Correct. The footprints would lead back to the truck, so we still haven't fully explained how the escape occurred. Answer me this next. How did the thief manage to escape once he reached the truck? How did the thief get away from the truck without leaving any traces behind? There's no way. Because of what he used to escape, he used a tire and perfectly wheeled himself on the tire track. There's no way. Because of where he escaped through. Because of when he escaped. Oh my god. How did the thief get away from the truck without leaving any traces behind? Because it's missing a tire there. Because of what he used to escape. He used a tire. It sounds ridiculous. Oh, there's a tire missing. This can only mean one thing. He rode the tire like a unicycle. What? No, that's dumb. He rolled it behind him. It's not dumb, you're dumb. What does rolling it behind him even mean? Can't even figure that out. Don't be. Don't be like that, buddy. Explain to your sister what you mean. All right. Oh, that's actually smart. So he walked backwards on the tracks, but then he was leading the track to go there. I'm sorry, I'm on Sherry's side though. I'm sorry. Oh my god. The thief walked backward from the cabin and then hopped onto the back of the truck. That's when he unhooked one of his spare tires. Yeah, so what I was saying. Then the next thing he did was walk over the tire tracks until he got to the road. And then why are there no footprints, huh? Like I said, he used a tire as he walked. He rolled it behind him, leaving only tire tracks. Oh, okay. That's kind of boring. My idea was better. I agree, Sherry. I agree. Your idea was way better. Whatever. Dad, I'm right, aren't I? Absolutely. Your brother's right, Sherry. His version makes the most sense. Told you. Still, I can't deny either possibility, so you both get a passing mark. Yeah. Anyway, good work, you rascals. Let's do a quick recap. After the burglary, the thief was on the run. His plan was most likely to lay low in his cabin. However, this changed when he realized the police was on his tail. That's when he thought of a little trick. He parked the truck near his cabin and walked inside. Then he returned to the truck by retracing his footsteps in the snow. Finally, he walked through the tire tracks, making sure to erase his footprints with his spare tire. After that, he was free to flee the scene, and he got what he wanted. The officers were very confused when they arrived. They ran a search party, but they looked in the wrong places, and so the thief simply vanished, this time for real. Mystery solved. We got an S rank, let's go. We're perfect. Mystery solved. Aw, the thief got away because you took too long, Bo. What are you talking about? I'm the one who actually solved it. Dad says my idea still counts. But mine is better, right, Dad? Everyone wins. Come on, let's pack it up and go downstairs. I'm starving. Okay, this game's hella cute. The perfect escape. Chapter 2. Okay, are we all ready? Dad, I already solved this one, didn't I? Was something wrong with what I said? No, it was fine. It was fine. You kiddos crushed it, actually. This is just a little encore. If you remember from the other night, the mystery was about a thief who seemed to disappear inside a cabin. And the solution was that the thief walked in reverse over his own footprints. Yeah, that's fine and all. if you don't look too close, that is. In reality, stepping perfectly into your footprints is not that easy. Shoes have intricate patterns on their soles, so being even a bit off while backtracking would leave marks. Marks that an observant officer would be able to find. That's what I want you two to figure out. You're going to find a way to leave this cabin without leaving any marks. Why do you want to know that, Dad? Are you going to steal something? Nothing gets past you, Cherry. Yeah, Daddy needs a new drill set. Don't do it. If you do, I'm gonna catch you. Don't be stupid, Shay. If Dad committed a crime, he would 100% get away with it. Okay. I know that you mean well, Chief, but maybe don't phrase it like that. At any rate, the rest of the escape can be done using the tire as we talked about last time. Your assignment is simply to figure out how the thief could have escaped from the cabin. Now get to it, detectives. I like him. The dad is cool as hell. And like, they're slightly animated portraits too. So they showcase a bit of character expression, which is very nice. So this time we got a bucket. And then we have a axe, some lumber, wooden logs. We got the cabin. We have the footprints. We have the tire tracks. And we have the truck and the tire carrier and the tire. Without stepping over the prints. So how would they have gone about doing it? Could they have somehow used the axe? The cabin was completely empty. Evidence shows that the criminal went inside the cabin 30 minutes prior to the police arriving. Is 30 minutes enough time for things to disappear? The footprints have no imperfections, so it's not possible that the criminal walked over them. Is it possible for the criminal to have used... So, the criminal would have basically driven in. They walked inside. And they would have climbed out the chimney. You have the cabin, you have windows, but the windows are locked. There's no back door. How would he have escaped without it? There are no marks on the bucket going out. Weird. Weird. So Bo, Dad, and Sherry. Oh. No, if he used a tire to go through here like that, he would have left tire tracks. Nope. I don't know. This one's a little bit tougher if he didn't walk over his shoe, like, footprints. Let's see what questions get asked. Is this it? I have an idea. All right, let's hear it. How did the thief walk out of the cabin without stepping over his own footprints? Because of what he used, or because of how he walked? Wait, what kind of footprints are these? So then, with him using the footprints like that, would he have basically hopped on one foot? Because it's not exactly the same, but then how would he hop on the other foot all the way backwards? Because of how he walked. He walked barefoot. That's funny. Did he do lunges or something? But then that'd be so weird. They are like boots. So because of what he used or because of how he walked? It's definitely more so because of how he walked. The footwear used by the thief, they're just shoes. The body part the thief used, which are his legs/feet. The length of his steps, or he walked barefoot. Very doubtful that he walked barefoot. It was more so of the length of his steps, I would say. Oh, I know. He did it like this. First a short step, then a long step. Short step, long step, short step, long step. He left little gaps on his way to the cabin, and he stepped on those on the way back. Yes, Pumpkin, exactly. Nice. Yeah, wow, you actually got it too. I guess it wasn't that hard then. Oh, I get it. That's why the footprints are closer this time. So the bad guy doesn't have time, the bad guy doesn't have to jump too far. Wait, what? Sharp, yeah. I adjusted them a little bit. I'm surprised you even noticed. That explains it. You were just lucky because you noticed the footprints were different, Shay. I didn't, and I still solved it, though. You didn't see that. Why not? I just didn't. So what? Nothing. It's just kind of weird. It seems something a detective would notice. So that's the trick, guys. In truth, the police were too busy searching for the thief to investigate the footprints in much detail. But the criminal could have left footprints behind that looked normal no matter how close anyone inspected. Goes to show you how many tricks criminals have at their disposal. Unfortunately for them, a good detective is ready for all of them. Yo, we got it! Let's go! Let's go. Because the answers are there, though, it's like deductive reasoning instead of like looking at... It's deductive reasoning after seeing the solutions and then being like, how would you figure out what is what? Because it definitely wasn't like what they were utilizing. It was just the way they were walking. That was fun. Can we do one more, Dad? Please? Please? Give me a break. Your mom and I need some time to make another one. I think I know what case we'll do next. We'll be going back in time a bit to about 100 years ago. Awesome. That's one of the best detectives detected. You mean your TV detectives? Our dad is the best one, you know. You're pretty cool, Dad, but you're not Sherlock. Maybe when you get a movie. Hard to argue that. Hard to argue against that, but I'm at least the second best, right? Depends. Can we order some ice cream? Cheeky. Okay, I think we're done here. Let's clean up, head downstairs, and order some ice cream. Awesome. You really are the best, Dad. Oh. Solve the mystery. Perfect escape. Cute. The Last Dance. It was opening night at the Narrowway Theater. A delightful ballet. It was opening night at the Narrowway Theater. A delightful ballet show was about to begin. All the seats were full, and the audience waited with bated breath. The stage lit up, revealing a single dancer standing gracefully at its center. A beautiful symphony filled the air, and the ballerina began a mesmerizing solo performance. She waltzed, twirled, and soared across the stage, captivating everyone present. As the orchestra swelled to a climax, she started executing a sequence of flawless pirouettes without skipping a beat. She turned and turned like a spinning top as the music grew more intense, until suddenly a loud explosion echoed inside the theater, followed by another. The ballerina's spinning came to a halt. As the music continued, she placed her hand over her chest, where a small splotch of blood was beginning to spread. After which she collapsed to the ground. She was shot. Crew members rushed onto the stage inside a panic. The spectators were frozen still, praying it was still all part of the act. But it wasn't. Only a few minutes later, the ballerina passed away. Even after all the lights were turned on, the assailant was nowhere to be found. When the police arrived, they began their questioning. Several staff members outside the auditorium confirmed no one had left since the shots were fired. The spectators testified they were all seated when the shots rang out. Several audience members turned around, but nobody saw anyone suspicious that could have been the shooter. They also gave conflicting statements when asked where the sounds came from. As the theater was being searched, a staff member screamed they found something beneath one of the seats. The police looked under and found a gun, one with precisely 2 bullets fired. In the confused crowd, someone flashed a smirk. The murderer was among them, invisible. Cool, this little theater is so cute. I know, right? Not too shabby if I say so myself. Yeah, it reminds me of when we went to see Little Ladies. You should have been there, Bo. It was just like this. Oh yeah, I remember that. You weren't there, were you, buddy? Why not? It was the girly stuff. No, but it was nice, right, baby? The choreography and everything, on point. Dad, you fell asleep. Good thing you were there to wake me up for the good bits. But you missed this funny part when... Anyway, Dad, was this a real murder? Yeah, it was. Although it happened a long time ago. Okay, so if I solve it, does this count as solving a real murder? Hold your horses, Chief. You're getting ahead of yourself. Let's solve a couple hundred of these before we even think about that, alright? 200, alright? Deal. And after that, you take me with you to a real crime scene. I wasn't, but sure, why not? Click the light bulb icon at the top to dim the lights and see the crime scene as it was during the murder. You can bring the lights back by clicking the icon again. Okay. How did the killer shoot at the dancer without being seen? This is where the gun was? Yeah, that is where the gun was. You have speakers, you have doors, you have chairs, the seats. Speaker. But that's so weird, right? So the gun was right here with 2 shots fired. They needed to be like pixel perfect for the victim. There's a gun, what's it called? There is a hole through that wall right there. So that's where the bullet is. But it was 2 shots. So wouldn't that mean there is... Yeah, there's a bullet hole right here too. Okay. So mirror, mirror, ladder. Bags. Black curtains. Painting, painting. Back door. But that's weird. The gun was right here. So then the killer would have had to be sitting right here at the edge. So they would have shot here, then they would have shot straight at the ballerina. But then that was a really perfect shot that they did. The blood in the victim. Ballet shoes. Mirror. Rope. Back door. There's a lot of paintings here. And there's the tutu. How did the killer shoot at the dancer without being seen? Wouldn't it have also depended on the music that was played within, like, here as well, and they played during a big segment? Or they shot during a big segment? Difficult spins. Everyone heard 2 gunshots, after which the dancer fell to the ground. So then you would have had some music try to overshadow the exact location of the gunshot. Only the black curtains open. So interesting. Ballet shoes and the tutu. And were there no fingerprints on the gun either? Because the person was possibly wearing gloves. So interesting. So how did the killer shoot at the dancer without being seen? It was kind of like musical blend, or the music was blending with the shot, so they wouldn't see it immediately. Any idea? Any idea, kiddos? I have observed this scene of the crime. 'Tis a simple case, really. I don't know about you, Sherry, but I found the trick. Good. Now, the big problem here is that no one spotted the shooter. Everyone heard the gunshots, but no one saw anything suspicious. It's weird no matter how you slice it. Did you figure that out? Why wasn't the killer seen when they shot the dancer? because of what they used to shoot. But it was a gun. Because of where they shot from. Curious. But if they shot from behind the curtain, then why is this hole here too? But I don't inspect a hole over on this side in comparison. And then if the killer... So there were 2 gunshots. So this makes a lot more sense for the range of what I was talking about. Because they were I'm like, wait, how did they had peak accuracy shooting over here. But then it would make way more sense if they shot from behind here. But then the question then lies, why is there a bullet here? There were 2, one to go to the person and one to like shoot a trajectory at the same place behind the curtain. Interesting. But they that's so picture perfect though. But it would make more sense than from sitting in the seats. And that's why no one saw them. So it's because of where they shot them from. Where did the killer shoot from avoiding being seen? Not behind the curtains. Take a look at the path of the shot, gentlemen. We can see that's like really high. The shooter would have, yeah. I thought that was weird too. The shot, like it was super high. I didn't say it though. Sherry says it now. The shooter would have needed to stand on their tiptoes to shoot like that. And that would look really silly, so they wouldn't have done that. I must admit, at first I was quite puzzled by this, but then I had a revelation. You see, if we just look at things in reverse... The killer shot from behind the curtains. Hey, I was going to say that! The dancer was spinning so nobody could tell the real direction of the shot. But that's actually why the killer fired at that time, to hide their location. Yeah, that... Nice, nice. Good job. That's some good reasoning. But if you think about shooting from behind the curtain, if you think about it, shooting from behind the curtains contradicts a few things at the crime scene. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, there's a bullet hole behind the curtains. That doesn't make sense if the shooter was already there. If the shooter was there already. Anything else? Yeah, the police found the gun below the seats. That's weird too. How did it get there? Exactly. Let's divide and conquer here. Starting with the gun, like you said, Pumpkin, it was found beneath a seat. That would seem to suggest someone in the audience did it. But what if you're saying is right? If what you're saying is right, and the shooter was on stage when they fired, that begs a question. Why did no one notice the criminal placing the gun under the seats? Because the gun was already placed there. Because of when it was hidden, yeah. the gun was placed like basically prior to the show being shot, to the show starting. Because they wouldn't have played. Actually, no. The police arrived, then they found the gun. So basically, the gun would have been like placed there prior. You had 2 gunshots, but then it also depends on. They would have hidden it between Dancer being shot and when the police arrived. Because they somehow left the back. There's a back door. You can go through the entrance. Oh. I wonder if you get -5 points for a hint. It doesn't state that any of the nobody really moved, except basically the person who had access to backstage and who can leave the door in the back and then go to the front, place it there. Oh, I think we figured out who it is. The killer could have hidden the gun during this time. True, but what I want to know is why nobody noticed the criminal doing it. Why did no one notice the criminal hiding the gun under the seats? Because it was somebody working there. Because of who the criminal was. It was a staff member. Oh, I see the truth clear as day now. Why wasn't the killer seen? It's quite elementary, really. The killer worked there. So nobody found it strange when they stepped off the stage and helped the police. Most foul. And then, while pretending to look under the seats, the criminal quietly slid the gun while people were looking the other way. And then falsely claimed they found it. Checkmate, evildoer. Officers, arrest that man. Why are you pointing at me? Hold on, Cherry. Now you're just jumping to conclusions. Oh, that's not it? No, it is. If the killer was no, it is. If the killer was a staff member, they would have had plenty of chances to dispose of the gun. But we can't say for sure that the person who found it is a criminal. Not yet, anyways. Yeah, because we found out that basically it was somebody working there, but we don't know if it who it was. So that takes care of the gun issue, but there was another problem. The bullet behind the wall. Yep. Wait. Why is that a problem? Huh? What do you mean? Like, when the bad guy was hidden, they shot the girl, turned around, and shot into the wall, right? No. The shot was fired from far away. A bullet was found in the wall. The lack of gunshot residue implies a shot was made from afar. Interesting. That is a fact. Oh, yeah. Okay. Exactly. If the culprit was behind the curtains, then how did they shoot at the wall from afar? Because they shot at the wall prior to the show starting. Because of when they shot. Before the show started, before anybody was even there. Any ideas, Sherry Holmes? Patience, my dear bosun. The mind is a complicated machine. Well, I don't know what's so complicated about it, because I already know the answer. Huh? Really? I can give you a few more seconds if you want. Beep beep, time's up. Don't worry though, I'll explain it to you. It's true that the killer could have shot the wall while they were hidden behind the curtains. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have done it at some other time. Some other time? Since the criminal was a staff member, they had access to the theater whenever. All they had to do was come one day in secret and bang, shoot at the curtains. nobody would have been able to notice a little hole left in there. The killer could have even used the killer could have even used tape or props to cover it up so nobody would find it. Not until the murder investigation, that is. That makes no sense, Bosun. It makes perfect sense. What do you mean? 'Cause there were 2 gunshots. Says who? That's what the card says. See, everybody heard 2 gunshots. Sherry's right, boss. But you're on the right track. You just need one more piece to complete this puzzle. So do you have an answer? Why did people hear 2 gunshots? Because a blank was shot, maybe? But that's a maybe, though, right? Or the second gunshot came from the speaker. Nobody in the audience could even agree on where the shots came from. Because what people heard weren't actually gunshots. They were fake gunshots played by the speakers. The killer wanted to make everyone think the gun was fired twice, but they shot only once at the dancer. The bullet stuck in the wall was planted from afar. Whoa, crazy. They did all that? Right on the money, Chief. You got it. Good job. What the heck? You're so smart, Bo. You figured it out. That's so cool. You think so? You think so? Yeah, I know. That's why you should listen to me more. I don't know. You say dumb stuff most of the time. What? You're the one who does that. I don't, though. Alright, let's take it from the top. As you deduced, the criminal was a stagehand at the theater. He had been romantically involved with the victim, but she left him for another guy, a very ugly breakup. The guy was pretty sick in the head, so in a fit of jealousy, he decided to commit the ultimate sin, murder. But since he was an obvious suspect, he had to find a way to make it so he had a strong alibi, hence the trick. The plan was to shoot her on the opening night of her show, and make it seem like one of the spectators did it. The first thing he did was plant a bullet hole a week before the show, while nobody was around. That shot was also his first mistake. He didn't realize the shooting angle would be awkward for someone in the crowd. The second thing he did was offering to take care of the sound system. He used that to add 2 gunshots to the melody of the victim's performance at very specific timings. Then the night of the show came. He slipped behind the curtains and waited in darkness for his chance. If he shot from there, it would be obvious where the bullet came from. That's why he chose to shoot while the victim was spinning around. He knew the choreography, so he knew exactly what he was waiting for. As the first gunshot echoed from the speakers, he fired a single shot right to her chest. The gun was muffled with a silencer. Oh, I didn't say a silencer, damn it! That would have made sense. With a silencer, so the only sound people heard was from the speakers. Immediately after, the second gunshot rang out inside the theater, but this time the criminal didn't fire. The investigation would later match this second gunshot to the bullet in the wall, a missed shot. This would be proof of the culprit being someone in the auditorium. After being shot, the dancer fell dead to the ground. While everyone's focus was on her, the killer came out of hiding and played the fool. And at last, once he had the chance, he disposed of the weapon below the seats. Only to shout out that he had just found it. I knew it! The plan wasn't half bad, but the inspectors in charge of the case back then were pretty sharp. There was evidence of the culprit tampering with the music, and there were ties connecting him to the gun. It was over. He went through all those hoops, but in the end, crime never pays. We got it! Let's go! Perfect score. Perfect score. Let's go. 70 points. We're geniuses. In the end, crime never pays. Yeah. No criminal can hide from Sherry Holmes and her trusty sidekick, Bosun. Hold on, why am I Watson? I should obviously be Sherlock. Sorry, Bo, I am Sherry. Sherry. Sherlock. Sherry. That's me. Sherlock's a guy. You don't have a hat. You need to have a hat to be Sherlock. Fine, give me yours then. No, this is mine. Get your own. I solved the case. Come on, hand it over. Bo, no, don't. I'll kick you. Stop. No, Dad. Hey, you two. Don't run on the stairs. Bo, knock it off. Be nice to your sister. Jeez, those two. Alright. The writing of this game's really cool. Like, I really enjoy the writing. I think the father's written so well, playing the detective for, like, the kids. Teaching the kids, like, little tells and whatnot. Going through, like, these little dioramas. Sherry and Bo are written extremely well as, like, bickering siblings who are both pretty smart in their own right, too. I like it. It's cute. It's very good so far. BRB, dudes. We'll get back to it in a moment. Alright, I am back. Let us continue. We finished the last dance, so we're gonna go try out Sleeping Beauty. I really hope this is a little bit more than like 6 puzzles, but if it's only 6 puzzles, honestly, it's fine. Sleeping Beauty. It's very cute so far. I really like Little Locked Room so far. It's so charming. This strange tale was recorded by a historian in the margins of an old tome. Once upon a time, there was a princess who lived at the summit of a majestic tower. On a fateful night, the royal family paid her a visit. Together, they shared a pleasant dinner. Following the meal, her aunt requested a private audience. Following the meal, her aunt requested a private audience with her in the tower's library. The servants stationed outside the room noticed their voices getting louder and more violent. Abruptly, the princess stormed out with tears in her eyes. In silence, the servants guided her to her chambers. The princess quietly instructed her attendants to warn her if her aunt made any suspicious movements. She then vanished behind her bedroom door, locking it behind her. Time passed and night became day again. The servants came to the princess's bedroom for her morning routine, but they found the door was still locked. They knocked, but there was no answer. Growing anxious, they forcefully broke down the door only to discover that the princess was dead. Inexplicably, the sole key to her room was found upon her table. Every member of the royal family and all the servants were assembled, and everyone was accounted for. A perplexing murder had occurred within a room sealed from the inside. No way, how can this be? My dear sister cruelly murdered! Just when we were about to have a tea party and go riding together. What horrible monster could have done this? What, so you're a princess now? Wait a minute, if the key was inside, then how did the culprit escape? This smells like a cunning scheme. Am I a princess, you ask? Not today. Today, I'm a detective. And I'm going to solve this mystery no matter what. For the good people of the kingdom. No, for my dearest sister. Alright, sure, whatever. Wait, the father's not even there. If the room was locked, how was the princess killed? So, what clues do we have right now? We have the entrance, we have the balcony, we have the tower, we have some windows. So this is a balcony to the princess's room. No, this is the one to the princess's room. Whose room is this? Bed. If the room was locked, how was the princess killed? So at that point, we can assume that they used this room right here to climb up, going up here, to then open this window. Right? Because that's a door that was locked. That's the bed, that's a wardrobe, and this is the one with a key. There's a needle and there's a clock. table, candle, needle, scissors. But then it's a question of how was the princess killed? But then it's a question of, was this door locked? Nightstand, bed. Whose room is that, though, is another question. So yeah, they would have just climbed up from basically this balcony to here. But then it's a question of, what did they use to climb up it? Or is that just not the question yet? Let's check out the princess's room a little bit more. Oh, the princess was smothered in her sleep, it seems. Alright. Gasp. Now I understand the terrible truth behind this case. Yeah, good to hear. We've got ourselves a good old-fashioned locked room mystery here. The guards heard the princess locking her own room. Yet the killer was somehow able to get in, do the deed, and get out. Or so it seems. Let's start with this question. How did the killer enter the room if the princess had locked the door? The killer entered from somewhere else. The killer couldn't enter through the door because it was locked. That much is certain. So they must have entered through that window. You mean coming in from the roof, right? Yeah. I love this music, dude. The problem is that the roof is at the top of the tower. You can only get there from the bedroom, really. And getting into the bedroom when the door was locked is exactly what we're trying to figure out. But what if the bad guy used something to climb up? Good idea. But can you see anything you could use to make a rope? Bed sheets or curtains or... How long was that bad guy's hair? It's too long of a distance to cover with any of those answers. I like your idea, baby, but I really do, but it's not really possible. Then I was mistaken? Very strange indeed. Really? They didn't get in through the window? Ooh, that was a red herring. Did they when the princess wasn't in there, did they hide themselves in the wardrobe? Oh, they used this to then possibly get themselves down. But wait, then that would have left a trail. Unless they would have just jumped down and like have some faith. Because of how the door got unlocked. Yeah, because they entered prior to the bedroom getting locked. But then who would the killer be? Would it be the aunt? Smothered with a pillow. The princess had a meeting with her aunt. That night, she stormed off in distress. A couple of servants escorted her to her bedroom. They heard her locking the door. The princess welcomed the royal family over in her tower. These vibes, yeah. Ugh, God, dude. So it's definitely a timing thing, right? Because of how the door got unlocked? No. Because of when they entered? Yes. I got so, like, hardcore stuck on basically, like, they entered from somewhere else. But no, they just entered right before the princess locked the room. So I would say it's between talks with her aunt and the princess locking the room. More than likely. You would generally think it's like any time between here, and it could be somebody under the aunt. But I want to say it's possibly the aunt and not another servant, right? Or, do we have a time of death for the princess? Yeah, I would go with on the in-between of the aunt to the princess locking the room. Because the princess stormed off, but she didn't go to her room immediately. You could make the assumption right here that it's prior if it's basic or during here. Sorry, it could either be prior, but it could be during here that the aunt sends a servant to the princess's, like, chambers. They break down the door, but then you can't assume, right? You can't assume that it is the princess or a servant. Because it says the servants gathered everyone together, but no one claimed to know anything. The victim was smothered with a pillow. The rooms below the princess's chamber were guest rooms. Nobody tampered with the crime scene after the door was forced open. So they would have hid in the wardrobe. They would have then basically jumped down to the guest rooms if the guest rooms were empty and not occupied by anything. So it's not that they hid in the room after they killed the princess. They went down. But then it's just a question of it would possibly be during the princess talking to her aunt. Damn. It's a little tough. Because would the aunt dirty her own hands? Let's go with Princess talks to her aunt. I understand. My sister must have been scared of Auntie. That's why she locked the door. But she was tricked. She didn't lock the criminal out. She locked herself in with them. The bad guy must have been hiding somewhere. And when she was sleeping, my poor sister, I can't keep going. This is too sad. You got it. If the killer snuck inside the room before the princess locked the door, that would have done the trick. But after committing the crime, the killer would have still needed to escape somehow. So we're only halfway there. How do you think the criminal escaped from that room? Using the window. The killer didn't open the door, they escaped through the window. That way they wouldn't need to use a key at all. Alright, but the window was closed when the servants got inside the room. What do you make of that? Just outside of the room, there's a roof you can stand on. So the killer jumped outside, then closed a window from up there. Easy as that, right? Easy as that. Very nice, Chief. Okay, so far we know how the criminal got in and out of the room. What's next? What did they do to get down from there? The bad guy jumped downstairs into this little balcony. Yeah, obviously. That makes sense, but what would you say is the distance between the roof and the balcony? I don't know. A lot? Be roughly like dropping down one floor. People can definitely survive a fall like that, but there's some risk of injury, and that make you suspicious. So we're looking for a method that's a bit safer than just jumping off the roof. Any ideas what that could be? Well, couldn't they have used a pillow to cushion their fall from the guest bedrooms? Because of what they used to escape. Guest room? Or do you think they could have dragged the entire bed? Wait, how big is that? We don't see any like drag marks though, right? But it would make sense if you use the entire bed to then fall on instead of just pillows. Pillows was leaning in the right direction, but a bed would make you be a lot more safe because there's a lot more cushion to it. Let's go with bed. I know the answer. It's true that the evildoer could hurt themselves jumping down the roof, but not if something was there to cushion their fall, something they had prepared beforehand. What could that be? Well, it's terribly simple. The bed's downstairs. The criminal took the mattresses and put them on the balcony. Oh, that's smart! They just moved the mattresses, not the entire frame. I'm a dumbass. The criminals took the mattresses and put them on the balcony before going to my sister's bedroom. That way they had a place to jump to without getting hurt. And that's what happened. Excellent, good going. And that's it. That concludes the trick. There's not a lot of information available for this particular case, but here's what people think happened. There was a power struggle within the royal family, and a few members wanted the princess out of the picture. That night, the murderer entered an unused guest room and placed the mattresses on the balcony. Then, they snuck into the princess's bedroom while she was gone. The princess, after having her meeting with her aunt, returned to her room along with her guards. When she arrived, she locked the door, unaware that her assailant was hiding inside. And while she was sleeping, she was attacked. After killing the victim, the criminal needed to escape. They jumped from the window onto the roof, before dropping down into the balcony below, where a couple of well-placed mattresses cushioned their fall. And with no evidence left behind, they simply snuck back into their room. And thinking they'd get away with it, they slept through the night like a baby. Nice. Damn. It was amazing, but at the same time, I was a little annoyed because I wasn't thinking the opposite way. I was thinking how they were climbing the window, but I wasn't thinking. I think I said it, but I'm like, how would they climb it? I don't see any tools or anything like that to be able to climb up. And usually they showcase some type of evidence for that. But damn, that's still good. I hope you're watching me from heaven, sister. I did it. I solved it. Hey, Dad, this was fun. Can we do more mysteries and castles and stuff, please? You never get tired, do you? Huh? What do you mean? That thing when you pretend you're a real detective or something. Stop doing that. Why? Because it's stupid. It's for little kids. It's not stupid. It's cool. Why are you even here? It's like you don't want to play. I'm not here to play. I'm here to study. I'm going to be a real detective someday. So this is like school to you? Wow, that's so boring. Shut up. If you're not going to take this seriously, just leave already. We don't need you. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't wanna. Ugh. Why do you have to ruin everything? You don't even care. You suck. Bo, buddy, hold on. Ugh, there he goes. He gets so annoying when we play detectives. Oh, I know. What if we do the next one without telling him? Wow, alright. Let's have a little chat, Cherry. You two need to make up. This is getting ridiculous. No, but Bo just left. You want to talk to him, right? Nice try. You heard me. Alright. Alright, we got Rapunzel Complex. And we got the Shadow of the Goat. And you know what? These are 3-star ones. I think I'm gonna save it for a second session. Mainly just to see how long it'll take. This game is fun. This game is cute. This game is charming. I really enjoy it so far. We'll get back to it probably tomorrow and just go from there and finish it off. We'll do our best because like the 3 stars probably have an amped of difficulty. This was a 1-star and I messed up one of them and I'm still a little ticked off about that one. But that was my own dumbassery. I was a dummy. Anyways, that's where I'm gonna end for today. For whoever watches this session, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I will catch you dudes next time. Have a good one. Peace out and bye.